Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we are going to be reviewing, wearing, and demoing the Shiseido Synchro Skin Foundation and Concealer. My shade in this foundation is 350 and the concealer is shade 300. I have worn this foundation a few times already, and I've tried it with setting it, without setting it, with a sponge, with a brush. So today I'm going to show you guys what the best option has been for me. And if you guys are curious about how this wears and how I feel about it and if it refreshes itself, then let's go. Okay, so today we are going to be using the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation and the concealer. So one of you guys asked me to demo it, and I just so happened to have 2 gift cards that I needed to put to use. I didn't need to, but this is actually a line that I was not considering buying. But I did a little bit of research. I'm like, that sounds interesting. I don't know why I never paid attention to it. But the shades that I have are 350 in the foundation. In the concealer, I have 301. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have used this, and I have found that the best way to use this foundation is with a brush. So I'm just going to do that. And let's see. This is cool because you turn the pump to get the product out. That's what 3 pumps looks like. The reason why I'm doing 3 pumps is because I've already used this. I already know what's going to give me the coverage I want. So I'm going to take the Sephora, what is this? Foundation fan brush, and I'm going to do one side with this. I have used this foundation with my Juno & Co sponge, and alright guys, so I've used this foundation now with both sponges that I'm rotating, which is the Juno & Co sponge and the InStylish sponge. And I will tell you guys that I like the Juno & Co sponge better. I was struggling a little bit to make the coverage of the concealer work for me, and I have found that the Juno & Co will give me coverage. So this is what half of the foundation I poured out looks like. As you guys can see, I have coverage. My skin looks even. So now I'm going to go in with my Juno & Co sponge. I'm going to take what's left over in this dish, and I'm just going to pop this all over. So already I can see that I'm getting pretty decent coverage, but I just don't, I prefer the brush, and then to go in with a sponge just to kind of smooth things over. So I'll tell you guys that the pump on this gets stuck sometimes. So like I'm having a hard time getting product out. It's probably just a defective one, but truth be told, I don't know if I'm going to keep this foundation. This will be the 3rd time I wear it. The first time I wore it, I found that honestly, like, I'm like, refreshing wear, because my foundation was wearing off. I didn't really see like any signs of my foundation looking like I had just reapplied it, or like I had just touched up. There was like none of that. It looked worn, and the coverage was just not impressive. But again, I was playing with it and really trying to figure out what was going to be the best option for me. So now I'm going to take the concealer, and the concealer actually feels really nice. It has like this curved applicator. As you guys can see, it almost looks like an hourglass. And I'm just going to take this, and it's very creamy and smooth, and it just glides onto the skin beautifully. And I personally need to let this sit for a minute, because otherwise the coverage isn't really fantastic. It's just, I feel like I need to layer it. So by letting it sit a little bit, then you're going to get the best out of this product. So I know that this concealer isn't the standard for concealers. There's 0.19 fluid ounces, which is 5.8 milliliters, and then the foundation is 30 milliliters, which is 1 fluid ounce, which is a standard. These products are a bit challenging to use if you ask me. So while we let this marinate a minute, let me just tell you about this product. So the actual foundation has 29 shades, which is and it retails for $47. On the Sephora website, it has a 4-star rating, and concealer retails for $31, and it has 15 shades, which is not great. Also, it has a little over 4-star rating. I think it's about 4.5. I mean, people seem to like it. I feel like I haven't really been able to make it work. I'm going to start blending this out with my Juno & Co sponge, because again, I find that this is the best way to get the product to adhere and give me coverage. When I use a brush, it shears out the consistency, and it just doesn't do the most. And I feel like for that price, yeah, better work. So tomorrow I have another video I'm going to be doing for you guys, and it is with another concealer that just came out. I feel like this is going to be the year of the concealer. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm always down for a good concealer. So yesterday, how I made it work is by setting with the Anastasia powder in Banana. I'm going to start with my under eye. I'm telling you guys that I have tried this. Actually, I lied. I tried this foundation 3 times. This is the 4th time I wear it. The first time I wore it, it was actually the wrong shade, which is why this video has taken me a little bit longer to film. The color that was suggested was a shade under this one, so it was a little too light for me, but I wore it just to kind of get an idea of how this product wears. And that's where I'm like, I'm not really impressed. And I thought, well, it's got to be because the shade is off and that's what's throwing me off. No. When I got the real shade in, I felt the same way, guys. I felt like it just wasn't really wearing all that well on me. I'm going to take a powder brush and then just work the powder. I'm pressing the powder into the skin. And again, I feel like you have to bake it in order for it to wear well, right? But that's any foundation. If you bake it, it's gonna wear. All right, guys, so I'm gonna buff this out. As you guys can see, I've had time to do my eyebrows, and now I am back. The Anastasia powder is a new product for me. I haven't tried it before, and I have to tell you guys that it's decent. It's not as fine as some of the other powders I have, but it does the job, and you get a ton of product. But I digress. So I'm just gonna touch up my brow a little bit to make sure that any powder that's gotten into them is out, and then I'll clean them up a little bit with the concealer. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of the concealer and clean up my brows. So I'm not 100% decided on this foundation. Like, I don't know if I love it or if I dislike it. Normally I'm pretty good about knowing right away if I like or dislike something, but this one has been tough. This one for me is like, I'm not sure. Like, I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I feel like the claims that it's making are pretty big claims. I'm like, I don't know if you're really living up to that. For now, this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and apply the rest of my powder. It's kind of bunched up there. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and then come back and show you guys the final look. Alright guys, so I'm back because I wanted to show you guys something. So my skin looks really textured. My eyelids look really textured. And I know my skin is dry right now. I don't doubt that my skin is dry right now. I don't know what is happening, but my skin is a little bit drier than normal. So I have been having, or I've noticed that I've been having pretty bad skin days, which is not something that I typically go through because overall I don't really have texture in my skin. My pores are not very large. And I'm like, man, my skin is going through something so bad. And I'm attributing it to my skin, but I think it might be the actual foundation. But like, it's enhancing texture here. You guys can see it. And I don't think it's my skin. Like, look at my lids. I know for sure my lids don't have texture right now. So what I'm going to do to fix this is I'm going to take my Jouer powder and I'm going to use a brush like this, and I'm going to just dust this over my lids. So why am I doing this? This powder blurs any texture. I'm gonna do it under my eyes too. It blurs, like, you know, sometimes when you apply your makeup, it may look really heavy or textured or whatever. This powder, along with like the Laura Mercier and even the Elsie, they have blurring technology. And so that's what I'm going to do. Now for my cheeks, the only way that I'm going to fix that is by using a setting spray. Yesterday I did not use a setting spray because I wanted to see what my skin would look like with just the powder and applying it with the sponge. And I did get wear out of it. I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier Caviar mascara, and I did find that it wore longer. It looked better than it ever has, so I know that using the powder made a big difference. But I do not like that it is making my skin look textured. It looks like I have on more makeup than I have ever put on, and I didn't do anything different than what I did yesterday, so I'm not sure why I'm getting this effect. But I do think that there's something in this product that is making my skin look textured and not smooth. And I have used other foundations and concealers recently, so I'm pretty sure it's this product. So I just wanted to come in, give you a little update, and then I'll come back to show you guys the finished look. Alright guys, it is 10:40 and this is what the foundation looks like. I feel like I already know where I stand with this foundation, but I want you guys to see how it wears. So I don't think it's the most natural looking foundation, and I've worn it, just so you guys know, with powder. I've worn it without powder. I have worn it using a sponge, using a brush. I feel like I've given it my fair shot in terms of getting a feel for it. So I'll show you guys how it wears. I'm off to a work lunch. It's 10:40, and I'll keep you guys posted on how this wears, and you guys can just make your own decision. If you guys are curious about how this wears, then stay tuned and check up on the updates. Alright guys, it is now 5:15 and this is what the foundation is looking like. There is some wear at the tip of my nose, which is fine. But again, this foundation claims to refresh itself, and refresh, homie. As you guys can see, it kind of looks like it's thinning out around the mouth area. In terms of how my skin looks, I can still see a little bit of texture and bunch up product, which is not something that typically happens. My concealer has started to crease and also even just fade on the eyelid, and it hasn't been that long. It shouldn't look like this, but this is exactly what I've noticed in the last few times that I've worn this. I'll wear it for the rest of the night, but I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna say I'm 80% sure that this is gonna be going back. So I will come back and show you guys how it continues to wear. I know, I look jacked, and that's okay. It's the end of the night for me. It's 8:30 p.m. and I wanted to show you guys what this foundation looks like. So I am going to say that I am definitely returning this foundation, and the reason is I don't see that this foundation is really keeping up with the wear. Like, it's not refreshing itself the way it claims. I feel like this part here, which is always the part that wears off for me the most, is off. And I feel like it looks heavy and textured, and I don't know if you guys can see, but my lids have worn off the concealer. My skin still looks pretty textured, and while I still have coverage on the outside of my face, my under eyes look really heavy, dry, textured. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's creasing. It's just not a foundation that works well with my skin. This foundation does claim to be medium coverage, which I think it's medium to full coverage, because honestly, I can cover with this foundation. It claims to refresh itself and that it's 24-hour wear, but I'm not like a super oily skin. I'm not a super dry skin. I'm, for the most part, normal and can be a little dry in the winter time, and it can be a little oily on my T-zone in the summertime, but I'm not like an extreme skin type. I'm not sensitive. For the most part, I don't have any skin issues. Like, I don't have texture, I have hyperpigmentation, but foundation for the most part does work with my skin because, again, I'm normal. I find that with this foundation, I don't get a ton of wear. I find that I often look at myself, and it could be because with the description, I do expect it to look fresh and like I just did it. And that's not at all the case with me. I find that it does wear. It starts to look crackly, heavy on my skin. Yesterday was the best that it's ever looked, but I baked with the Anastasia powder and it looked fine. It wore fine. You know, it came off a little bit, but I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it's working. No, it really isn't. Of the 4 days, I've had one good day, and that could be several different things. I am just not impressed with this foundation, guys. I know that people say that it refreshes. I know that it has really great reviews. It just didn't wow me. It didn't wow me. It didn't, you know, do anything that none of my other foundations do. Like, it's just an okay foundation. I think if you're going into it looking for a foundation that wears 7 to 8 hours, that something that gives you medium to full coverage, you'll be happy with this. But if you read the description, if you go into it with high expectations, which I did, I think you're gonna be a little disappointed. I was. So I hate to say that because I really wanted to love this foundation, but I just have not had enough experience with it to really love it. I think of the 4 days, I should have had at least 2 good days, but honestly, like, it's going back. I hate to say that, but it is going back. It's just not worth the effort or the time, especially considering that there's so many wonderful foundations in the market. This is just not one that I'm willing to cop the money out for. It is pricey. I'm sad. So I'm sad to say, but this is not a foundation that I will be keeping, not one that I love. It does not wear well on me. It enhances lines, which for the most part do not really show up on me. But look at that. Look at my top lid. There's creasing. The concealer just honestly does not do anything for me. Even after I let it sit and blend it out, the coverage I feel just doesn't wear as well. Again, it enhances the lines in my eyes. The foundation doesn't wear well. It comes off quickly here, which is fine because, again, that is my problem area. But with a formula or a technology that's supposed to refresh itself, it really doesn't do that for me. And again, it enhances just the crackiness. It looks like my foundation is cracking and separating, and I don't see any refreshing. So because of that, this is going back. It's a pass for me, a hard pass. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.